Hi, and welcome to the X22 Report Spotlight. Today we have a new guest, Cyrus Parsa. Cyrus is the founder and CEO of the AI organization, where he is also director and creative analysis and defense innovations. He has researched and investigated more than 1,000 AI, robotics, 5G, cybernetic, and big tech companies. Cyrus's mission is to help safeguard humanity first, prevent disasters to people from China, big tech, misuse of AI, and biotechnology. You can find his work at theaiorganization.com, and he also has a book out called Artificial Intelligence Dangers to Humanity. I'll be putting all the links at the bottom of the video, and I am very happy and honored to have Cyrus on the X22 Report Spotlight. Cyrus, welcome to the Spotlight.
Thank you, Dave. Thanks for inviting me on.
Yes, thank you for being here. And I just want to start off with, I'm very happy to have you on because you know a lot about AI, 5G, and I just wanted you to explain to people in a short little summary of how you got into this and why you got into this.
Well, I'll give you a short chronology. I was born in Iran. We were Muslim. We had to leave the country in 1987. I learned the culture, and I learned a lot from the people in the United States. Lived in the East Coast and Midwest for 10 years. Then I lived in California, lived in China for roughly almost a year with fighting Wudang monks and learned internal arts called Wudang. And I came back to the U.S. and moved back to California in the year 2002, which I wrote a book called Better People, Better World, the book to save and change and better our world. It's about 800 pages, and it linked everything from finances to geopolitical issues to religious issues to conflicts and how we can make the world a better place. And I approached a few outlets to publish my book, and they said, well, you don't have any degrees. Who are you? How can you say these things? So I went up and investigated a bunch of other companies, and I went to school, BS in International Security Conflict Resolution, Masters in Homeland Security. And in 2017, I formed Loyal Guardian Security with the wish to defend against China and big tech and threats to the homeland, even from rogue entities via Iran in the Middle East. In 2018, I formed the AI organization, and that was after researching so many big tech companies, and I saw, okay, China is going to be the next monster. So one of the things I noticed that they had extracted a lot of different technology and things that can be used for the future on the 5G and 6G networks. For example, the WIS Institute, they're working on robo-bees to pollinate. DARPA, they're working on dragonflies. So they embed little machine packs into the spinal cord of actual dragonflies and different insects. And you can manipulate not only their flights, but their thoughts and make it do things. So the Chinese government and their intel groups, and through their students, through their professors, through their businesses, had extracted this information. And I verified with my contacts in China and open source and different investigations that they were working on using poison delivery systems in the future on 5G and 6G networks by mobilizing not only machines from robo-bees, which I term microbiota terrorism, MBTs, but they were looking to do it with cybernetically enhanced animals and insects. So there's actually videos from out of China that they're using beetles to have them fly. And the police are saying, yeah, we want to use this to surveil the populace. We want to use this to hunt criminals and so on and so on. So I formed the AI organization. I researched and investigated over 1,000 companies, AI, 5G, robotics, cybernetics, bioengineering. And it was the spring of 2019. I privately in secret gave the Secret Service a 5-page brief. The summary was, if China and big tech are not curtailed within 1 year, maximum 2 years, all the world's citizens are in danger from multiple different ways, including microbiota terrorism, which included engineered viruses from nanoparticles and mixing different things. So in my book, Artificial Intelligence Dangers to Humanity, I talk about how they're experimenting with stem cells and looking to mix humans with chimeras and different type of animals and geoengineer humans in addition to cybernetically enhance them. I put a little brief on what should be done, how they should be exposed, and different things. But the Trump administration was being attacked left and right by so many different movements, not just the left, but the Soros-funded think tanks behind universities, behind media, and so on. His hands were tied, and so this country was just under constant fire. The summer of 2019, I gave former director of CIA cover-ups, who was with 3 presidents I was introduced to, and he was interested in my work. They didn't have much intel in China, so I gave him 41 companies, and 28 of those companies Trump banned a few months later. And in my conclusion or introduction was China threatens all the world's citizens, and 5G, robotics, bioengineering, cybernetics, quantum, and so on. One of the main companies I cited in there was McVeigh Face++, because they initially asked me to work on one company, which is a facial recognition company, but I ended up giving everything, like 40 extra companies, and they didn't ask for it. I waited and waited. I realized China's figuring out that the trade war is not really about the trade war. It's actually about taking out China's communist regime, because they threaten the whole world. So I published this book, AI, Trump, China, and the Weaponization of Robotics. A lot of people laughed at me, but I wrote it in a certain way that only people in quantum physics and deep intel would get it. But if you look at the cover, that is George Washington, and the top is Trump's head. So Trump is representing the Constitution of this country. The smartphone represents an idea that I put together, that human beings are controlled and programmed through a process of what I call biodigital social programming. And the future puts robots in power on the 5G system, and humans cybernetically enhanced after they're introduced through a symbiotic relationship via biodigital social programming. This book doesn't have the ending part, which says why the world must support the Trump administration against China's regime. I was being attacked by Facebook and all of these different outlets, but if you go on Amazon, the PDF version has that. But basically it says big tech in China threaten all the world's citizens. I embedded this book into artificial intelligence dangers to humanity, since I didn't put any company names, and I published this in October after spending 2 months trying to get people to cover me, and the media wouldn't cover me. Think tanks were stealing, copying my stuff. They wouldn't support me. So I published that. Prior to that, I think about 3 weeks of publishing this, President Trump was sitting down with the Prime Minister of Australia. And he says, China threatens all the world's citizens. Exactly what I said. And so I had people in the DHS that gave my book to high-level CIA people, directly gave it to the White House, and it was confirmed. And then President Trump turns over and he says, you do robotics too, right? So this shows the AI 5G wars. So the next step was publishing this book, Artificial Intelligence to Humanity. Within 2 weeks of doing that, Trump's AI department states China threatens the world with AI, robotics, hypersonic missiles, and so on, cybernetics and bioengineering. So I'm trying to get people to retweet me, support me on social media, because all of the MSM is just blocking me. And some people are just plagiarizing my work, and nobody gets it because everyone's bogged down with the little digital civil war between the left and the right. And I see that the threats are so big, huge. And in the book, I put that China is working on hybrid engineered AI viruses, which I call the biodisease. So come December the 16th, I put in my books how all these companies can be sued, big tech can be sued for all these different crimes. And I'm like, okay, what do? I see that the huge dangers coming to every human being on the planet, not just from viruses, but the interconnection of an event that can trickle down a chain of reactions that affect every human being on the planet and lead to different miseries and atrocities against the human race in stages in the next 20 years. So I ended up suing, 29 John Does. I didn't release them. And firstly, it was Google, Alphabet LLC, Facebook, Neuralink, and all their CEOs, which include Larry Page, Spakai, and Sergey Brin, and the Facebook CEO as well. I also sued.
Zuckerberg.
Yeah, I also sued I also sued PR Newswire because they, including other news outlets, pulled my articles or my press releases coming out in October and November, stating China threatens all the world's citizens with quantum technology and these engineered diseases and so on. And they prevented me from warning the world's people. And I'm working 18, 19, 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. Problem was, as soon as I put out this lawsuit, every person on Twitter, instead of backing me and supporting me and retweeting me, they took parts of my tweets to build their own platforms or make their own content. And I had Zach Vorhaes. I had him shoot the arrow, actually, because I knew if it happened, at least it would be a track with him. But still, even with him, I got 500 followers, and I had a plan. The plan was to hire hundreds of U.S. Marshals to go hunt everyone down hunt them legally, and serve them these papers. And there was 26 counts, but there was really 31. There was 29 John Does I didn't name, which I'll explain later. And the purpose was to expose these so we can point at China and see the threats that were coming. And I couldn't get any support. I needed donations because all the money I spent, everything I spent was exhausted. And I'm tweeting at big tycoons. I'm tweeting a big Twitter account. Everyone just looks at it. So what do I do? And so I put out more content. I shoot out a lot of videos. I create videos, and it turns out February 24th. I'm just going to release the other pages and then also the other people that were on the list, and they were former President Barack Hussein Obama, Biden, Clinton, Pelosi, Schiff, and also the former director of FBI and CIA, Brennan and Comey, and I believe the NSA as well. I also sued the World Bank and so many other people, including Bill Gates. When I released his name, he stepped down within 2 weeks, actually. And I wasn't trying to hurt these guys. So everyone says to me, why did you just hit the left? Well, because these leaders were in power the last, and they messed up the most. But it involves everybody. We're all kind of at fault. And let me explain what I sued them for. At least give you 4 main topics. The first one was endangering the human race with the misuse of AI and biotechnology, which includes viruses and numerous other things and quantum technology. The second thing was negligent. So this is what Obama and other people are guilty of. Negligent transfer of artificial intelligence, 5G, quantum technology, biotechnology, bioengineering, cybernetic, all these different things to China by allowing them to do business with us, by allowing them to be embedded within our corporate CEOs and connected to them, by giving money to different outlets that went back to China. The third thing was complicity in genocide, and that's really, really serious. So after World War II, about 60 million Christians died in Russia in stages from actually 1917, from Trotsky, Lenin, and then Stalin, and so on. And then over 6 million Jews were also killed as well. And also over 2 million German women girls from the age of 8 to 80 years old were raped by the Russian Red Socialist Army for over 2 years. This is a fact. So around the world, there were atrocities. Everybody was in misery because socialism came out in Russia. It came out in China, killed over 100 million people in stages with Mao Zedong, North Korea, Cambodia, Vietnam, and they couldn't take over in the U.S. It got here. It got us in cultural ways, not the physical way. So if you look at this, all these bad things happen. And in 1953, there was something called complicity clause for the Genocide Convention, Article 3. And that states specifically, any person or entity, company or government, if they're complicit in the prevention of genocide or the reaction thereof or persecution of anyone, they can be charged with city, state, national, international tribunals and government bodies. So what I did was connect all these companies and all these CEOs at city, state, national, international, everywhere. So basically the whole world can take them down on a class action lawsuit. But up until this time, I got $3,000 in donations. How am I going to fight $4 trillion? People put, oh, my cat is lost, and they get $100,000. So the fourth one, and it's the last one I'm going to tell you, last penal code that connects to a clause, because within the lawsuit, you need penal codes, you need clauses, you need motions, you need so many different things. You need prayer for relief. I asked for $4 trillion. And the $4 trillion was to compensate the Chinese people, the Falun Dafa, the Uyghurs, the Tibetans, and the Christians, and the journalists and so on have been killed, but also the American people as well. And I can get into that. But so the fourth thing was massive AI coding, AI algorithmic manipulation of humanity's thoughts via their biometric system, and Google, Facebook, Twitter, and so many different things, ecosystem. These concepts are very, very difficult to describe. So maybe I talk a little bit too much. I'll give you a chance to interject.
No, I mean, this is just absolutely amazing. If you can, let me just start off with this, because you said quite a bit. And I wanted to start off with, okay, you said that China is behind a lot of this stuff. Where did they get the technology? Did they develop this themselves, or was it given to them? So
China sent, I think, over 1 million people all over the world, the US, Europe, even in Israel. Every country in the world received Chinese students, Chinese businessmen, and Chinese investors. What they did was create social relationship with social engineering. By doing that, they were able to extract all this data in 4 or 5 different ways. One is, of course, IP theft, intellectual property, that they stole your things. 2, they plagiarizing your work. 3, they just sit and learn from you. So they're in a university. They're with, if you look at Bill Gates and Elon Musk, and he had Chinese with him, and so many different people. So they sit there and they learn from you. And collaboration and mergers, but forced tech transfer. So when these businesses like Apple, Google, and any business that goes into China. So Eric Schmidt is one of the guys I named, right? When you go into, and he's the former CEO of Google. When you go into China, they make you sign something which is called forced tech transfer. They don't just want you to do business in that country. They say, no, you have to tell us how this software, how this machinery was built. We'll still give you autonomy, but we need to run it. And they kick you out, So one of the companies I investigated was Didi Chuxing. Didi Chuxing initially copied off of Uber. So Uber was in China. They embed themselves with Uber, and then they kick out Uber and take its platform. And then they used McVeigh Face Plus, which is another company I investigated, facial recognition company. This facial recognition company initially was a facial recognition company. Then it became an AI company. Then it bought robotics company called Arisbot, which is named after the Greek god of war. Why would a facial recognition company become an AI company, then buy a robotics company? Same with Huawei. So what it can do is take these, take the facial recognition and different like emotion detection, skeleton detection, voice detection, skin detection, we use LiDAR systems to look at your vital organ different things. And then you can be hunted with drones and robotics on the 5G networks. Huawei is doing this too. So this is how they did it. Let me explain to everybody. I've had a lot of difficult time, but not many people have supported me, and they just keep on taking my content and making content instead of giving me support so I can use the organization to lead this, to defend people. But let me explain this. Huawei is a 5G grid system that connects the BRI, one belt, one road. What is the BRI? It's the old Silk Road that connected Persia to China to Europe and the whole old world. Now we have a new world. So China, from the Far East, has connected Huawei to the Middle East, to Europe and Africa. If it wasn't for President Trump, this country would be enslaved right now with Huawei and whoever else was.
What do you mean enslaved?
Let me explain what Huawei does. So 5G is not, I put a bunch of videos out actually. 5G is not made for human beings. One of the videos I put out was called, Is 5G made for humans, machines, or AI? It's actually made for machines powered by artificial intelligence. So these smartphones, the 4G systems, they were a little bit too much to take for our bodies to begin with. And they bio-digitally social program, which I'll get into a little bit later in our conversation. On the 5G system, it's made to mobilize robots, robotics, drones, all sorts of machinery, cybernetically enhanced soldiers, bioengineered people and entities with the 6G system, and attached to virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality. Think about how serious that is. Yeah. So when you have this Huawei system that connects to other companies that it has, like Face++, which has over 300,000 developers, and there were social engineering the world to give them their data. It's free. You can use their software. Use your face. Because within Didi Chuxing, that Uber company that they had in China that went into India and Africa, South America, Japan, even Mexico, they had it. When you use their app, it's taking your facial recognition. So in China, it's an Orwellian state. They have something called WeChat. WeChat and different apps that they have that interconnect has hundreds of apps interconnecting. You have to use your face in order to go somewhere or get to a hotel or buy something for a lot of people. So you're being controlled by the network and the smartphone system and the communist regime, which is an Orwellian regime to begin with. So imagine Huawei hooking up to a digital AI brain on quantum technology with something that's attached to an artificial general intelligence that connects to machines, robotics, drones. Nobody in the world had come up with this analysis. Even when the White House looked at it, they were just their minds were blown. So, because what I did was I didn't just do open source. I investigated 1,000 AI, robotics, 5G, bioengineering, all these companies, 500 Chinese, 600 Western, and I put them all together and I saw what the big plan was. And I saw, wow, what's coming after humanity is like from numerous things. So people thought maybe, Cyrus is a little bit out there. Why is he putting words like he found extinction codes? That's in my bio at the end on one platform. Let me explain what that means.
Yeah, please.
So socialism has one platform, which goes to communism. So if you remember Ronald Reagan, he would make jokes and he'd show misery, and a Russian guy will say, well, yeah, we still haven't reached full communism. And then the Chinese still say, yeah, we still haven't reached full communism. So what communism and socialism does is consolidate and bring the power into one platform. So an AI system does best to take out the human race or enslave people under socialism, because it interconnects everything from finance to your social network, your geolocation where you live, and also your biometric system and everything in policy and government into one system. That means the AI system can generate and run everybody like a little mouse. That's one. But it can also do it in capitalism. So in this book, Artificial Intelligence, Digital Humanity, I coined another term called social capitalism. In this country, we're not capitalist. We're social capitalist. So it's a hybrid system of capitalism and socialism. Even within capitalism, so a lot of people think back, oh, socialism is good. That's what they say, oh, social democrats. But even in Iran, that's a socialist system because they invaded the Islamic platform. Oh, we'll give you free food, free electricity, free gas, and all these different kind of things. And look what happened. We have 70 plus million people who are enslaved with a system they don't like. It's not what it does is socialism moves and attached to anything that it can take, from religion, from even the Constitution. So capitalism had issues because not of the system, but because of greed and people who are really overly selfish. If you have a good moral foundation, if you're ethical and you work hard, you have the right to make more than somebody else does. But there has to be ethics involved. But with capitalism, what it does is take these companies, kind of like little pieces, and puts them all together in stages. Once that happens, then it becomes a socialist system without even realizing that it's socialism. So what I'll do is this. So Google, it takes Google in Silicon Valley offers internet search engine, but not only that, they offer so many interconnected things. So why did I sue them? What Google has been doing is something what I call biodigital social programming, and taking your biometrics from that and giving it to the Google AI department meant for quantum technology. It's been stealing from you and you don't even know it. How does it do that? These smartphones are a weapon designed by the military branch of DARPA. They're made to mobilize drones and command military troops. But it was dumbed down and was given to us. But then it's become very, very powerful in a different way of social engineering, but what I call biodigital social programming. What is biodigital social programming? Bio stands for your blood, your cells, your skeleton, your bones, even the hair on your body. Everything that makes you a physical being that's not electric is within your biology. The next step is digital. Digital stands for your neural networks, your nervous system, your electrical field. But if you have a faith, if you believe in God, it stands for your soul, your spirit, or your digital self. Digital self, most agnostic as scientists believe in digital self. This third stage is social. Social stands for your social media, your social network, or your emotions. So biodigital social programming. The entire human race is being programmed on the 4G network via biodigital social programming as they engage with these smartphones when it connects to the internet, the social media, the mainstream media, our friends. And how does it do that? These have proximity sensors. The proximity sensors connect with your body and they extract information like your heartbeat, your menstrual cycle, so many different things. But there's something else it does. It actually connects with your neural networks and your nervous system and extracts the way your brain is mapped and your thoughts are mapped. So it's taking your thoughts via AI algorithms and coding that move in such a way that it's imperceptible to other people. Takes it back to Google. Google gets to Google DeepMind AI, and they want to use the human brain's capacity to create an artificial superintelligence. Let me explain. There's 3 levels of AI. Artificial narrow intelligence consists of these smartphones that are being used to program people. The second level is artificial general intelligence. And that would be a robot or a digital AI or a biodigital AI, forming thoughts, desires, wishes, or emotions like a human being. More importantly, vice like almost every human being. Jealousy, ego, pride, ignorance, lust, all these different things that creates conflicts and doesn't let us come together to help each other. The third step is artificial superintelligence. And that requires the extraction. One method does. There's other methods you can get to it. But the main method that we're using is extracting all of humanity's biometrics, which includes your facial recognition, your voice recognition, health data, but also the way your brain is mapped and given it to their quantum technology. And this quantum technology would mix that information and create an artificial superintelligence. It connects to a 5G network that can mobilize quantum technology to open different dimensions in the future for space technology, but also for cybernetically altered human beings, bioengineered human beings. People will be extincted in stages. So I put in there that within the next 20 years, humanity will be extincted in stages through conflicts, through diseases, but also to be altered through biodigital social programming first to take the stuff in, because Elon Musk said we are a symbiotic. We have a symbiotic relationship with these phones, that we're a 2-digit cyborg. Well, I don't agree with him. I think it's a parasitical relationship, because what it does is constantly attaching to your nervous system, your neural networks, and people are addicted to it. It wants you to go back, press the button. A lot of people will sit down and they'll think, the really sensitive ones, they'll think, I think I got a text. I'll look over, it's flashing. That's because it's already connected with your brain, and it's telling you, and your brain is giving you a message. Oh yeah, I got a message. Sometimes you look over it, and it's nothing. That's because it's a phantom. But it's actually programming you, and it's connected to you. So just think about what this can do and how it can affect so many different people. And this AI system is embedded within their financial network. So in China, they're using AI technology to not only surveil, but decide if they can give you money, how much money they can give you, how the money should be dispersed. So when you attach this AI system within our governments, it'll take them out. And if you look at our AI regulators, they are the PhD type. The PhD types are the very ones, and the tech ones are the very ones that should not make any decision and should have no business being next to President Trump in that area. Why? Because they grew up with this technology. Their brain structure has been formed, altered. So Elon Musk says, let me explain to you guys what's the purpose of all these things. These big tycoons, I sued them because I'm not against them. I try to warn them because at the end it's going to take them out. They want to live forever. They want to merge with machines. Elon Musk said in 2016, we're summoning the demons. We should put a stop to this AI stuff. And then within a year later, 2 years later, says, it's too late. For us to survive, we must merge with AI. So, and then look at my book. I've got his 3 companies in there. Tesla, he's commanding the AI system on the roads. Then he's commanding with the SpaceX. Then he wants to put a chip in your head to make you a cyborg murder machine. Why does he want to do that? Because he discovered that the human brain is the most powerful machine in the whole planet, even the universe. And he can't tap into it because he realized most people use 3 or 4%. And the reason why he's so smart in that regard is because there's an area in his brain that's made to create technology or to be able to put things together. That area is very advanced. Same with Bill Gates. But the other areas, which is wisdom or faith, completely blocked off for Bill Gates. And Elon Musk, he believes in the simulation. It's a little different. So what he wants to do is merge you with machines. But I completely disagree with him. It's the end of Elon Musk, anyone who does it, even the world, in many ways. Because Elon Musk says, well, this artificial superintelligence may see us as insects or ants. So let me ask you this. If it sees you as an insect, Mr. Elon Musk, and that's what you say, why would it want to keep you? Once you merge with it and it replicates itself within your neural networks and your cells, it will just replace you. It would take me hours to explain how this can be done, but people believe we are different from machines. We are different, but at the same time, we have inputs and outputs. Our skins have receptors on them. This is why virtual reality or mixed reality, they want you to connect with mixed reality, because when you wear haptic suits or these devices on your forehead, you're already seeing these things. You don't pick, your brain doesn't tell you are, because you have to open certain areas in your brain to receive them. So what they want to do is have machines hook up with you. But when you do this, you realize this stuff is already connecting with you. It just allows you to see it. People don't see the frequencies that are up. The 5G system, the internet, it's always been there. You think DARPA created the internet? No, it's always been there. What they did, discovered these, and they start connecting things. I created something called a concept called the AI Global Biodigital Network. That's really deep, but there's so many levels of it. I'm sorry, I probably talked for a little bit too long. You may want to interject.
That's fine. Let me just ask you this. So yes. Google, like you talk about quantum computing, didn't Google just say that they were coming out with a quantum computer? So when you say that we're merging with them, does that mean that our brain and our functions in our brain is now merging with that technology and we don't need our bodies anymore?
Not yet, but that's the stage that they're putting. So another company I sued was iCarbonX, and Google is doing this too. So the Chinese learned from us. What they want to do is, another reason they want to have you live forever is they want to create a digital image of you because they're already taking all your biometrics. They know where you live. They know your geolocation. They know your family. They know your emotions. They know your deepest secrets. And they have your biometrics, your facial voice, and they can design a different you in the virtual world, right? So they're saying, okay, Mr. Sir and Sir, when you die, we'll just cut up your brain and take that data and then put it into a virtual world and you live again. But here's the thing. What they don't understand, and they don't have the wisdom for this. I'm sorry, these big tech guys, they don't have the intelligence for it. They think that when you just take out the data like a computer from a brain, that's really you. It's not you. Because that's just a level of molecules. We live in a dimension of molecules. I see you, you see me at the moment. You only see skins and skeleton and the organs and the blood and different kind of things. But that's just a level of molecules. There is the atomic dimension as well. So human beings have atoms inside them. And then there's more microscopic realms. So if you have a digital image that's really you, that's conscious. So a memory of what you have is just your storage place. Doesn't mean it's really you. So if you believe in a soul, spirit, it's inside of you and it's attached to different layers. If you believe in a digital image, it's still in different layers. And we're connected to, from what I read somewhere and I confirmed, our bodies are connected in parallel with different dimensions of atomic and molecular and neutrino structures. So that's why if you open the quantum realm, you can actually see that we're in so many different places. When you see me right now talk, it's not what you see. I'm not a stable form of energy that's just what you see. Things are in motion. And so is everyone else. Their bodies are in motion. Their cells are moving. And we're energetic beings. So these smartphones have an electrical field. So every human being has an electrical field. You just can't see it. Can't feel it. Most people can't. I practice with the monks in China. And I've done disciplines for the past 20 years. And when you open up certain channels in your body, so the Chinese have a concept called meridian lines or qi. When you connect these channels in your body, you can become more sensitive and sense things other people normally don't. That can only do it with virtual, augmented, or mixed reality. These are things that the ancient maybe monks or saints worked on for a very, very long time, and within their books going back, even within Christianity and Catholicism, they talk about the light body and then also Buddhism. And even the Falun Dafa today and the Tibetans, they talk about these things. So these scientists are doing it in a different way. They're using science, which is actually a religion, and they're trying to touch these realms, but they don't understand the concept of free will and that they're actually killing you by trying to merge your machines because they can't touch your original self, your original digital self. So if you put a robot and then it's artificial narrow intelligence, you think it doesn't have life. But so there's another company, the Boston Dynamics is one company I researched. They have dog robots in Boston and human robots.
Right.
But yes, but there's another company in Hong Kong. It's a Western gentleman who's a Hollywood. I forget the name. It's in my book, but he wants to create a conscious AI. So as if human beings weren't enough, we've had all this mess for the past thousands of years. You want to make a digital or biodigital AI, a robot, alive. So let me ask you this. If you can take someone's digital self, download it, and put it into a robot, and that's what they want to do, think about the danger that could bring on the 5G and 6G systems. President Trump could hardly survive on the 4G network. You want to attach everybody to the 5G network? Nobody can protect you unless God comes down to protect you. I put out an article. This is really deep talk, but I'm going to put it out. But I put out an article and video called "People Programmed to Attack Trump with Artificial Intelligence, Social Media, Google, and Smartphones." And I put it in a basic way, and it's really hard for people to accept. But there's patent technology to back it up. First one was very rudimentary, innate bias. So in the internet before he came in and during when he came in, people were just putting up articles and posting videos and tweets and all these different kind of things. And the bias was against him. And people, when they read that stuff, oh yeah, Trump is bad. That's a given. The second level was engineered bias. And that was by Soros-funded think tanks, institutes, and the Chinese government, 50 centers, and different elements within our media, because every single media, don't trust the mainstream media or any media, they have a political analyst sitting in the editorials to shift your thoughts, to program you. So the second level was that the entire society was being engineered by narratives being putting out by these media companies. The third level is what finished people off. And that was the proximity sensors as people engaged on these smartphones. They were being trained. So as you're viewing all these articles and videos, Trump bad, Trump bad, Trump bad, or mix articles that are like half, this is entering you. And as your hand is connected to the smartphone, as the electrical field is connecting to your electrical field, it's connecting with your nervous system, your neural networks. So when you go to bed, that replicates that thought. Whatever you saw replicates, alters your brain chemistry, hence Trump brain syndrome. When you have people come out and they're neutral to President Trump, and then 2 weeks later they hate him, they're so emotional in the street. How could that happen to somebody? These machines are not what people think. They're weapons. Our bodies, if our bodies can receive information like an antenna would, which they do. So if you receive radiation and your immune system goes bad. So here's the five. So I put out articles and videos in my book, 5G replicates. It's not the 5G that killed people, per se. It didn't cause the virus. What happened is this, very, very simple. The Chinese have a crappy version of 5G. We have a better version of 5G, but it's still not as good. So 5G is made for machines, and you need a lot of towers close up to each other, not like the 4G system. The speeds are 10, 20, 100 times faster because they're meant to mobilize. They're programming you. Oh, yeah, smartphones, faster downloads. They think Americans and the people are dumb. They'll buy that. It's not the case. So what happens is this. They get the virus. I put an article out that it actually mutates and replicates in your body to begin with because it's a hybrid bioengineered virus. When these 5G towers are up and they're military weapons to begin with, they're connecting to people's electrical fields, and they're connecting to their nervous system by these smartphones and the tower of radiation. So what's happening is it's hurting their nervous system, and it's hurting even their brain. That in turn reduces your immunity to any virus, even vaccines. If you had a vaccine 30 years ago inside of you, that vaccine will actually replicate because it'll mutate because of the 5G system's strength and frequency. It'll mutate and grow inside of you. So if you get a virus like the corona or COVID-19, what happened was they get the virus and they're a little older, or they're kind of fighting it off and they have other issues with different organs and their body's falling. Well, the 5G system would back it up, support it, and take them out. So that's the case in many places. But if we didn't have the 5G, would nobody die with the virus? No, it wouldn't be the case. But then you get to the other concept is, they're putting fear out everywhere. It's ridiculous. If you lock up every single human being in their homes, the threats that I put in my books will come true. The other threats of not only overvaluing states, but conflicts, racial wars, even civil wars, and so many, just chaos would ensue. So, we're in a time of our lives at the moment. And I came out to do this, for altruistic purposes. I worked 18, 19, 20 years, 7 days a week because I saw great dangers to my fellow human being.
Let me ask you this question. You mentioned something about extinction codes.
Yes.
Is that to extinct the population?
Yes. So in stages. So I ran so many simulations that matched exactly the same patterns. So whether it was from finance, whether it was from education, politics, culture, conflicts, technology, they all interconnected, and they're going to extinct everybody. So I'm not against these big tech guys. people look at my lawsuit and they're like, whoa, we're really in trouble because, yeah, this is right. But they're not the only ones in fault. A lot of people have lost their way. So look at the 1940s, 1930s. I'm from Iran, okay? And what I got was from this country. And I'll give you an example. I had a gut feeling. So they put me in a line in Iran. They would say, Mag bar America, Mag bar Israel. And Mag is Latin for muerte, for death. And bar is for, so America, death to America, death. I would never do it. And I didn't know why they were saying this. I mean, 6, 7 years old. And, maybe I shouldn't say this because it's going to piss off a lot of people. And this is a huge network, but I will. So I'm sitting in line, or I'm standing in line, and the lady comes for the third and fourth time and says, hey, you need to say it. Mag bar America, Mag bar Israel. And I'm not Israeli. I'm not a Jewish person. I just couldn't take it. So the fifth time she comes around, I don't say anything. Slaps me in the face. Ooh, that got me. The sixth time she came around, she was going to do something else. Next thing I know, they take me, beat me up. Principal, everyone else. They grab her scissors, start cutting my hair, say un-Islamic to have long hair, and they cut me and I start bleeding on my face. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm a little in trouble here. So they're talking like Pastor Zangmazan. Pastor is like a secret police. So then the other person's like, no, what about his parents? Just send him home. They clean me up. I walk home. And I get home and I don't say nothing. A couple of days go by. My mom's like washing my head. What's this? Why is your hair all like this? And then, what? You got a cut here. What happened? Didn't say anything because I knew what was. So anyway, I come to this country and, I went through some hard times and I lived in the East Coast, Midwest. But what I got was from this country, America. But I come out and I worked so hard 7 days a week and everyone was just plagiarizing my stuff or making their own content instead of supporting what I'm trying to do. And the mainstream is just ignoring me. And then the intel groups, I was the head of the Secret Service, CIA, FBI, and different intel groups. How did I warn that the world was in danger and the bio disease? And how did I put all these together when our intel groups were busy attacking President Trump? And I'm still not supported. So I came out not for myself, but for other people. So here's my point. I'm not saying I'm a good person. It's just different things came together at different times to make me want to do this. Okay, so I have to work on myself. But if you look at the 1940s, here's my point. The 1950s, it shows people had a certain culture in America and around the world. Not only were they respectful and nice from the outer world, they were nice inside. So they were Gone with the Wind, the cartoon Cinderella. They were like that. So what socialism Marxists did, they ruined the world and this country, and it was done in a certain way, very sneaky. In the 1930s and 40s, they had documents how they can make Americans salivate and destroy their culture through promoting deviant lifestyles that destroys their family and gets them addicted to drugs and alcohol and so many different things, and they can't prosper. So in 1940s and 50s, they embedded themselves within Hollywood because they couldn't take out the FBI, they couldn't take out the CIA, and they couldn't take out their governments. And our former presidents had mandates. You can look this up to take these guys out, and they couldn't because they couldn't take them out physically. They had to do different movements. So the FBI was trying to take out Hugh Hefner because what Hugh Hefner was doing, he was trying to say, okay, you females, a few of your men have beat up the wives, and movies are showing this everywhere. So why don't you show your breasts and everywhere else and let all the guys be attached to it? And that goes to porn, and the hard porn, then even porn that leads to, insinuating rape of girls. Right. And then we have this epidemic of sex and human trafficking, broken families, broken homes. They have these documents, and the FBI lost to Hugh Hefner with the Supreme Court decision of 5-4. So what these socialist communists from Russia did was support are different people within Hollywood and our institutes. And these PhDs, their brains were altered within 1 or 2 generations, having a socialist structure. And that's in their writing. That was their plan, to destroy America in stages. Because how do you destroy a nation? You cast doubt on the belief of God and ethics and morality and family. Then you separate that structure, kind of like separating you want to invade an ant colony. You separate them in different ways. So they couldn't beat us military. They destroyed the minds of the American people. So, and you can see this in Hollywood. So you have a culture, then you have a tech. So everyone gets invaded with this, and they don't know what to do until it's too late. So Americans are noble in nature, so are the world's people. Every human being, if you look at every faith, it says we are made in the image of God. We are created noble, good beings, and that's what we should be. All of us should work on ourselves. And it's not just about prayer with this virus, other things. We need to repent. Every single human being, we need to repent. If we've hurt any other people in our past, we should repent. Whether it's a relationship, whether it's a family member, or inadvertently someone that we didn't know, we should try to become selfless. Only by doing this can society improve. Only by doing this can we prevent the future generation from hurting. Because this whole left and right thing going back, it's keeping us busy. And of course, I support most of the conservative thinking because it's more aligned with the Constitution. But our Constitution is being taken out in stages. This whole picture is coming through. And I see it pretty well. It's hard for me to get it out. And in this interview, I'm trying to do it. And I hope I didn't offend anybody. And I hope I didn't talk too in a more outlandish way. I'm sorry if I did. I feel like we are in danger in stages.
Yeah, you're passionate about it, and you feel like you want to help. And I mean, what you're talking about is infiltration from within. Instead of attacking us, they infiltrated the country from within, and they waited and they waited and they kept doing it until here we are today. And I understand that. I mean, that's exactly what they have been doing. Now, with China and Huawei and their technology and everything that they've been doing, what was their end goal? Was it to depopulate the world? Was it to bring those people and bring them into the machine world? What was their end goal here? I mean, I know Trump, he went ahead and he said, okay, Huawei is out, and he started to ban that kind of stuff. I mean, what was China's, what was, whoever was behind this, what was their ultimate plan?
So China wants to take over the world. That's their plan. And the Chinese, I live in China, and I've known Chinese for 20 years. I have 1,500 phone numbers here are Chinese. They're the most skilled people I've ever met at social engineering people and lying to people. The most skilled. They can fool 10 FBI agents 100 ways in a different way. So clever. And that's because they grew up in a communist system that had them fight for everything. They didn't have as much goods and supplies or financial support. You have 1.5 billion people fighting for things. So they learned, and they had to be, it's a jungle. But they have an old history, and the old history comes from pride and ego, from having so many different dynasties and being an empire. So was the Persian. The Persian had the same vice. So they're so smart. This is how the Chinese did. They are nice to you, and they are your friends. And they'll social engineer you. They'll embed with you with the business model until the last moment. When they know they can take you out, they take you out. That's how they work. So President Trump knows, the Chinese have a huge ego. So he's not going to go tell them to their face or publicly, yes, your time's up, because then it could cause, a massive war. But their end goal is to take over the world. But I don't have a problem with anyone taking over the world if they're not communist and sinister in their thinking. And the Communist Party is very, very sinister. So I just want to make sure the audience understands there's a difference between Communist Party and the Chinese people. The Chinese people are generally much better than the Communist Party. Generally they're good people. But anyone born in Communist China swore allegiance to that party, even swore blood ties. And they were raised and programmed within the education system. So their thinking structure is formed with that thought. So that's why they shouldn't have any power in this country until communism is destroyed. But the Communist Party is different. They've engaged with mass atrocities. I sued them as well. So in 1987, the Communist Party of China, they passed a law that you can take a political registered in prison and kill them for the organs because it's property of the state. So initially it started with Uyghurs or Tibetans because they weren't Chinese and they were killing them for the organs. Then they moved on to the Christians, and the Christians were mostly Han. That means they're all Chinese people. Then in 1992, a practice came out called Falun Dafa, spiritual practice, the three principles, Jin Shan, right? Truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance. And they had some exercises, Qigong, similar Tai Chi, and for health. And next thing you know, people's health was improving in China, and even the government was saying, well, their health costs came down. So they approached the founder, Mr. Li Hongzhi, in 1994, or a little bit after, and say, hey, you have 100 million people practicing. We've counted. Let's create a membership and charge them money for this. And Mr. Li Hongzhi's response says, no, I'm not going to charge money. This is for the people. I don't watch them. There's no membership. As soon as he does that, boom, the Chinese government gets scared. They start casting doubt, writing bad articles, slandering them. By 1999, they send the military in because they've already got their geolocation through just watching everybody, not tech. They put them in camps. They say, renounce your faith in God, and we'll let you go. They don't. They don't even give their names. If they do, their parents or their friends, they get arrested too. So they begin to rape them, beat them up, and these millions of people were in camps. And in 2006, the former Canadian Secretary of State, David Kilgour, and David Matus, the High Benign Council, was a Jewish man that was nominated for Nobel Peace Prize on his work on this. And they concluded that 41,500 transplants were unaccounted for. I brought him to my doctoral in 2011, and they gave a speech. About 200 people showed up. And then one network took it down the next day after China complained. So in 2016, they gave an update, and I brought in my Homeland Security alma mater in 2017 for a talk as well. In 2016, they concluded that 60 to 100,000 transplants are unaccounted for every year, per year, since 2001. Comprised of Falun Dafa, Christian, Tibetan, Uyghur, and even democracy advocates that they didn't like. So they go to ask the Chinese government initially in 2006, and they see 3,000 donations, but it's 41,000 transplants they counted. Then in 2016, the Chinese government says we have 10,000 donations. But then they count up 110,000 transplants. So something doesn't add up here. And this is only what they can find by calling on the hospitals, checking people that flew in, because the Chinese government and their hospitals and imperial forces, they had embedded themselves within the internet and these sales pitches. And they were putting out, okay, fly into China, 48-hour wait times for heart, liver, kidney, and corneas. People from the US, Canada, Israel, India, Africa, all over the world will fly into China getting organs. Even if it didn't work, another person they had. Because they were doing blood tests to these people. So I interviewed, investigated a lot of people who have been tortured and they've been blood tested. And everyone said to me, I didn't know why, but they took my blood, and it took a lot of different people's blood. And the people who they let go were the ones that weren't healthy. So they picked the Falun Dafa. Why? Because they don't drink, smoke, or drugs, and they do Qigong meditation, and that gave them strong immunity. So they were the perfect prospects to kill for the organs. So they had moving crematoriums even. So if they knew your practice, the communist regime would use the security apparatus of the Communist Party with their paramilitary forces to do these things. And this is hard to believe, but it'll all come out. And, why did I sue Joe Biden? He took $1.5 billion. He was told, and the Obama administration, this has been going on, and the Bush administration knew as well. But Bush got bogged down with Iraq, so you can do nothing. But how do the internal White House report said the persecution was going on with these people and organ trafficking, organ harvesting. Multiple think tanks gave it. And also human rights and David Manafort, the United Nations Council on Torture and Persecution, 2009, 8 and 9 gave reports. Read my book. So, see, I'm tying everything in, right? Why are we sitting at home today? Why? How many people were complicit, knew that these things were going on and did business with China? And how many big tech companies like Google were sent with Eric Schmidt to design their surveillance state, facial recognition, voice recognition, geolocation, biometric data, so they can hunt these people. It's not only surveil their own people and persecute their own people, but hunt people and kill them for the organs. You don't understand how sinister this Communist Party is. And they are professional liars. Professional liars. You think we're sitting at home because only 3,000 people died, as they say? Mm-hmm. You have 1.5 billion people in China. 1.5 billion. If the death rate is, let's not just 4%, let's just say 1%. If it's 1%, that's 15 million people right there. So, if you're old and you have a certain organ issue, any virus is going to hit you, it's going to take you out, right? So, but in China, it's different. The health system is not like America. And a lot of people are unhealthy. And also, the government can go to, if they think you got the virus, they'll go take you out. And that's what they were doing. They were throwing people in crematoriums that had the virus, they were really sick, but are still alive. This will come out. All this will come out. And people couldn't imagine what the Nazis did, right? When you said this was happening, they were doing all these death camps. People didn't believe it. But the Chinese Communist Party has been doing these things for a very, very long time. Under Mao Zedong, over 100 million people died. And why did I sue the Obama administration for giving money to Iran? That belonged to the Iranian people. That money was used to surveil and catch protesters in Iran and rape them, even kill them, and throw them off buildings. So the Epoch Times and NTTV ran an article I put out in October. Initially, the video reached 1 million within hours. And I think it reached over 100 million people in Chinese in different networks picked it up. And I put that the people who they said that their suicides in Hong Kong weren't really suicides. Before it all happened, that the Chinese government has sent paramilitary forces and embedded themselves within the police stations of Hong Kong, acting as their police. And they were picking protesters, raping even girls, and throwing them in rivers. And then there was tests done. They're like, yeah, Cyrus is right, because this body seems like it's 4 days old rather than 1 day old. And yeah, there's penetration involved. How the hell did Cyrus know? And I said, yeah, they're using facial recognition technology they got from the West to hunt them down. So just think about what have we done by giving this tech to China? And now it's coming back to haunt us. In Africa, so do you think if the Chinese government cares about their own people, why would they go to Africa and build roads for Africans? Why would they build all these different schools and hospitals and give them the 5G system and set little African leaders for a little tribe? Do they love the African people that much? Just think about it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
You see how the whole world can be enslaved by a communist regime, by China, or by an AI system in the U.S. led by big tech to take out our Constitution. Our Constitution has a system of checks and balances. You can't have an artificial general intelligence or beyond to be control of our Congress, our Constitution, and our country in any way, shape, or form. And this is what's been happening. They think that, but then again, we need to fight China. We need to fight it in the 5G wars or 6G wars. So we're in a place that's really hard. We develop technology, but because we want to counter China, but then again, it can take us out. It's such a hard place.
Yes, it is. Cyrus, thank you very much for being on the X22 Report Spotlight. Once again, how can people see your work?
You can follow me on Twitter, Cyrus A. Parsa 1. you can go to the AI organization website, download this book for $9. Please retweet. And I have a video channel called the AI Organization. I put out videos. I put out something really big in a few days that's going to explain something even more. And I'm saying these things because I'm trying to prevent what's going to happen in the future. It's hard for people to take when the tech industry has not released what they really have. They wait until they have a sales pitch and they run a video like the recent one you had with the mixed reality. They are 5 or 10 years ahead of us, and I found these things out. And then these things were created over 20 years ago by our military, so it gets trickled down. So anyway, I want to apologize to anybody if I insulted anybody. I have really deep passion about this. I want to say one last thing. Whatever we do, please don't have fear. Fear is the main killer. We should fear nothing. Fear is what can cause chaos. We need to be rational and have no fear and make ourselves better people and support each other. That's my last message to you. And I want to thank you for having the courage to have me on your show.
No, thank you for coming on here. I really appreciate it. It was a great talk. I would like to have you back on. It was fantastic. I'm going to put all the links at the bottom of the video so it makes it a lot easier to buy your book. Both books are they on? They're both for sale right now, or just the one?
Both, but this one's already embedded inside of this one. Okay. 95%. I put some things in there that's really hard to believe. So this was made to get Trump's attention, and it was done because the White House was bogged down incoming from the left, and they weren't seeing all the stuff that was coming. So I had to do certain things. What I just needed is patriots to support me, and that's what I really need. I came out in altruism, and I really would like support and to be put on more shows like yours. And I really thank you. Thank you and the SGT report and John B. Wells and Red Pill and whoever else that had me on. I really, from the bottom of my heart, I thank everybody who supported me and this whole cause. And please donate if you can. Even if it's $5, $10, just donate because we need the funds. And if I would have had them, these guys would have been sitting in their homes, would have been served. Now, one last thing I want to say. We don't want to cause a civil war. It's kind of a little too late for going after these guys in a legal way because it's not just them. It's the interconnection of millions of different things. So this whole trying to get people arrested, the day will come. But right now we have this pandemic and we don't want chaos. We don't want to go after. We have to support President Trump. This is the main key. If we don't support President Trump, you have no hope unless God steps in. You have to support President Trump 100%. Everybody, you really have to understand. He supports our Constitution. He's a wise man. He's got a lot of incoming. We have to support President Trump first. That's what we need to do. And I hope he hires me one day to be his advisor. If not, I'll keep on fighting for him. Thank you.
Once again, Cyrus, thank you very much for being on the spotlight. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.